So we'll assume, guys, we have two timelines. Okay, we are taking two timelines. One is on, this is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All right. And we'll draw the same timeline for our differential backup. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. All right. Yes, Kenneth, you have something?
Yes, I want to ask the L0. When you take the L0 backup, is it in a form of a data file? Just like, sorry, when you take the L1, is it in the form of a data file like the L0, or it is in the form of an
A
archives?
data file. Normal backups. Like when you take a full backup, the backup sets are created, right? Even L0 is also like the backup sets. Don't worry, when we are working
Okay,
in practical, I'll show you the difference. All
okay,
right, guys,
thank you.
no problem. So guys, the differential backup, okay, this is the L0, or I think not L0, it's actually L1. L1 differential and L1 cumulative. Now, this is a question again, so many people will ask, like, what is the difference between L0 cumulative and L0 differential? First of all, there is no difference because L0 is a full backup. It will take full backup of your database. So cumulative and differential becomes invalid when it comes to L0. The difference they make is only when you're taking an L1 backup. All right. So what's the difference? On Sunday, we have taken L0 backup. Now, for the sake of the example, we are taking L1 backup on every day. Okay. L1 backup, L1 backup, L1 backup, L1 on Thursday, L1 on Friday, L1 on Saturday, and Sunday we are going for L0. In the differential backup, what happens is this L1 will take the backup of the changes that is made between Sunday and Monday. This Tuesday L1 backup will take the changes that were made between Monday and Tuesday. This L1 backup will take the changes or backs up the changes that happened inside the database between Tuesday and Wednesday. Technically, whatever the last backup has taken the changes exactly from that backup, whatever changes happened till the point when you trigger the backup. The same goes with the Thursday. The same goes with the Friday. All right. The same goes with the Saturday. And on Sunday, definitely it will take the backup of your whole database. Now, the question is, let's take your database crashes on Friday. So how do you recover? So what you need to do is you need to apply L0. This L0 you need to restore from the L0, plus you need to apply the Monday L1. See, you cannot apply the directly the Friday L1 because Friday L1 has the changes only from Thursday to Friday. Then what will happen to these changes in between? From Monday to Thursday, changes are not there in this L1, so you cannot directly apply this L1. So what you have to go is, what you have to do is you have to go step by step. So you need to restore from L0 on Sunday, then apply the Monday L1, then apply the Tuesday L1. So the Monday L1 will bring your database, move forward it into time and make it exactly how it was on Monday. The Tuesday L1 will move your database forward in time and make it look exactly how it was on Tuesday. Again, you need to apply the Wednesday L1, right? That will again move your database forward in time as it was on Wednesday. Then you need to apply the Thursday L1, so plus L1. Then it will move your database forward in time till Thursday. And then finally, you need to apply the Friday L1 to move your database forward in time. And then maybe if you want to apply archives or not, that's separate case. All right. So in differential, the beauty is why you should have a differential strategy. The reason is to save disk space. See, all these L1s, they are taking the changes from one previous day, right? So the changes are less. So that means disk space will be saved. The question is when you should not use the differential strategy. if your, I mean, I'll put it as not equal to, or you should not use differential strategy when DB recovery is important, recovery time is important, recovery time is important. Why? Because see, you are applying so many L1s, right? It will take time for your database to apply those L1. So of course, anytime, let's take if you apply 10 files and then you apply one file, there is always a difference. If you apply 1000 archive logs and then you apply 2 L1, of course 2 L1 is better, right? Now in this case we are applying so many L1s, right? 1 2 3 4 5, and then plus we might apply some archives plus redo log to open the database. So that means this recovery part, L1 to redo log is database recovery, right? L0 is restore. So from all these L1s that we are applying, the DB recovery time is being extended. It does take time because you have to apply one by one and move the database forward in time. Of course, you don't do it by yourself. You can always mention it in your recovery script and RMAN will do it for you. But still, it's a headache when you apply so many L1s. So if your database recovery time is important, do not use L1 differential. All right. But if you want to save on disk, definitely go for L1 differential. So because it is differential, this is the default one. So by default, when you take an L1 backup, the differential backup is the default setting inside the RMAN. Now the question is, what is cumulative backup? Let's take on Sunday you take L0 backup, Monday you take L1, Tuesday you take L1, Wednesday you take L1, Thursday you take L1, and Friday you take L1. All right. And this time we are assuming again the crash is happening somewhere after the Friday, like at this point, okay, after we have taken the L1 backup. So the L0 is full backup. This L1 on Monday will have the changes that happened from the Sunday to Monday. All right, this is exactly same as our previous L1. But on Tuesday, when you take an L1 backup, this backup will have all the changes from Sunday itself, because Sunday we had taken L0 backup. Again, L1 on Wednesday will have all the changes that happened from last L0 backup. All right. The Thursday will have all the changes that happened from Sunday till Thursday. And the Friday L1 will have all the changes that happened from last L0 on Sunday. All right. So ultimately, in the cumulative backup, the L1 will take backup of all the changes from last L0. Okay, so the differential L1 will take backup of changes from last backup. So now that last backup can be L0 or L1. Okay, in this case, can you see the Monday L1 took the difference between the last L0 and Monday. The Tuesday L1 took the difference between last L1 on Monday and Tuesday, right? But in cumulative, the L1 will take backup of changes from last L0. So it doesn't matter whether it is, whether how many L1s you have taken, whatever L1 you trigger, it takes the changes from the last L0. The problem over here is we are wasting a lot of disk space, because see, the Tuesday L1 contains all the changes which are already backed up between Sunday and Monday, and also Monday and Tuesday. The Friday L1, it contains all the changes from Sunday till Friday, but also it has, I mean, from Sunday till Thursday, all the backups are already done. I mean, we have an L1 which contains the backup. So we are having multiple copies of the same backup in L1. Now, the issue is, do not use cumulative when disk space is important to you. because see, in the cumulative backup, it is multiplying or multiple times it is taking the backup. Like the Thursday L1 has the changes from Sunday till Thursday. Also, the Friday L1 is also having changes from Sunday till Thursday, and also the Friday one. So the disk space, if your disk space is important, don't use cumulative backup. But when to use cumulative backup? If your DB recovery time is really important. Why? Let's take on Friday, this point the crash happened. So what I will do is I will restore from the L0, plus I will just apply this one L1 that is on Friday, because it contains all the changes from L0 till L1. So what I will do is plus L1, and at this point, I mean between this point, of course there might be some archives that are generated, right? So I will apply the archive and open the DB. Now when you compare this formula with the above formula, can you see? So in case if your recovery time is important, then use cumulative L1 backups. If your DB recovery time is not important, but your disk space is important, then you go for differential backup. Now to answer a couple of your questions, and definitely you might have this question, which one you should use. 99.9% of the time you can go with the differential backup until unless your client is forcing you to, because see, the scenarios that we are discussing, the crashes that we are talking, it generally never happens in real time. So it is good to understand all this. Of course you need to know, because if there is a disaster or there is an issue in your environment, then who will recover the database? So that's why I would personally recommend you can always depend on the differential backup, but until unless it is client specific or client is forcing you to go for cumulative backups, then definitely you can have a discussion and tell them there will be issue with the disk space and all. So yes guys, open for your doubts.
Aaron,
In case of the differential backup, when L1 is getting generated, like this, how does the RMAN know what are the changes only that need to be written on to L1?
Of course,
Uh,
with the updated SCN number, it knows all the changes, right? So every database block header will have the updated SCN number. So let's take if L0, the SCN number was 5555, right? And in the database, there is a block, and the block header has a new SCN number 7777. So RMAN knows that this is the updated block, and it will back up the block. Yes, Simon, you have any doubt?
Yeah, Arun, this is Sridhar. I have a quick question.
Yes, Sridhar, go ahead.
Okay, just I was wondering, like, say for example, like you mentioned in Sunday we have L0 back as per backup strategies, and Monday, Tuesday is L1 with differential.
Right.
From Wednesday, Thursday, no, first 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is L1 differential, and from Thursday, Friday, cumulative. Can we switch like that? See, for example, why? Because see, if anything crash happened Monday to Wednesday, we can use those L1 differentials. But
Right.
but from Thursday to Saturday, since we have so many L1s, we have to apply plus archive and redo.
I get your idea. See, we can definitely do what you're saying. There is no problem in doing that, but it's always good to have a consistency in what you do. So I have personally never seen an environment where they club both differential and cumulative. Sorry, guys, I'm muting you because there's a lot of disturbance. So I have never seen an environment where they clubbed what you're saying. We can do it. I'm not saying it's not doable. Of course, you can do it. You can always trigger L1C on Thursday and Friday. You can do that. But it is good to maintain a consistency. If you're following the differential backup game, then follow it. If you're following the cumulative backup game, then follow the cumulative one. Don't try to club, because honestly, it might confuse you when you try to recover the database rather than someone else. So what you're saying is doable, but I won't recommend you to follow it.
And one more question. So we are talking L0, L1 only, right? But so once, I mean, real time scenario, I don't know. So even though we are taking L0, L1, would be there a case that where we also take full backup of?
Yeah, your wish. It depends. See, depending on the environment, I'll give you one example. Like this really happens with one of my client, and good point that I can explain you a different scenario. And guys, this is client specific, so you don't have to go and give this kind of backup strategy to your client. So what happens is every Sunday we take L0. Every Tuesday, sorry, every Tuesday we take L1. Every Thursday we take L1, and then every Saturday we take L1, and then Sunday we again continue with the same cycle. But on every month first, we take a DB full backup. This also happens. Okay, this is only for one of our client, and there is another client. Simon, don't mind, I want to mute you because there is a lot of disturbance. I'll come back to you. Give me a minute. And on first of every month we take DB full backup. Okay, there is another client. For that client, the strategy is completely different. We follow the incremental strategy. All right, this incremental strategy we follow, we take a DB full backup. I think it's not on first, some other day, I don't remember the date. And we also do this thing, I think every month on last Saturday. Okay, the client wants us to shut down the DB, and what we do is we take RMAN cold backup. Don't worry, we'll be looking at this one. How do we take a cold backup using RMAN? And this cold backup is something what client stores, so that, like, of course, it is client specific, because client has a time to shut down the database. So definitely uh, they force this kind of strategy. This is not something recommended by us. So what we do is every month on the last Saturday, we take RMAN cold backup, we shut down the database, put it into the mount mode, and we take RMAN cold backup, because the benefit of this RMAN cold backup is it is a consistent backup, right? What is the beauty of consistent backup? You don't need to apply the archives. So why do they have this in place? I feel I have no answer, because their database architect thinks like this is the better way to do it. So this all is client specific, and it depends how the backup strategies are configured. So Sridhar, to answer your question, yes, if client specifies, definitely you can always do it. So, Sridhar,
Yes.
just to emphasize more on your question, I will ask a question from all of you, okay? And then we will see if you guys understood the backup and recovery strategies or not. So we'll play a little game over here. And I'm taking the same example that Sridhar said, okay? So I have this timeline: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then this is on Sunday. All right. So on every Sunday, the client says, I also want L0, I also want full backup, right? This is what client says. On, sorry, we'll take L1 on Tuesday, L1 on Thursday, and then L1 on Saturday, and on Sunday, L0 and full backup. All right. Now my database crashed exactly at this point of time. The database is crashed. Now tell me, what are the ways to recover the database? What are the, till now we have seen so many scenarios, right? By looking at this timeline scenario, how will you recover your database?
Is it for everyone? Question?
Yeah, anyone can answer.
So, I mean, I would like to go with
L0 plus L1
L1.
plus L1 plus archive log.
Okay.
Perfect. So L0 plus L1 plus L1 plus archive log, right? This is method one. Now, yes, redo log files, we can ignore it for now. Now, let me give you other examples. We can also do this way, right? If I don't want L1, I will use L0 plus I can use archive log files, all the archives that are generated till the crash point, and then open the DB, right? We can do like this, or I also have a full backup. So what I do is I use full backup plus all the archives from this point to the crash, and then also I can open the DB. So if you are having multiple backups, this is how you can define multiple strategies on the recovery, right? So Sridhar, I hope this example helps you understand more about the about your question. I tried to elevate your question actually.
Yes, sir.
Arun,
One more thing, since we talked about just RMAN cold backups, actually, I didn't know the term before. Actually, I thought we cannot do that actually in RMAN.
No, we'll talk about it. So let's
Okay.
keep it aside. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yes, Kenneth. How can I help you? Yeah.
for the clients, between when you take L0 on Sunday and take L1 on Tuesday, between the time you take the L0 on Sunday and then L1 on Tuesday, what do you do? On Monday, what do you do?
All right. Wait. I'll come to you. I think Simon, give me a minute. Like there are a lot of students who have doubts, so I'm coming one by one, and I'll come back to you. All right. So Kenneth, to answer your question, over here nothing happens. We are simply backing up the archive log files. So what happens is, see, after L0, the system is also generating archive log files, right? Archives are continuously being generated in your system. That's the database. So what we do is every day, depending on the amount of archive logs that are generated, like see, if every day 10 archive logs are generated, so once in a day we use archive log backup, and we do it using RMAN. Okay, so RMAN, of course, it takes your L0 backup, full backup. It also takes the backup of your archive log files. So in a real-time environment, continuous archive log backups are running so that RMAN is securing the archive log files, because these archives are generated on the hard disk, right? See, forget about L1. If even if L1 is not there, to move your database forward in time, the only key is archives. So we need to take the archive log backups. Now, coming back to your question, why it happens on Sunday? Generally, this all is client specific. Most of the times on Saturday midnight, okay, between Saturday and Sunday, the midnight is the exact time where any business that you see in the world, it has very less load, because most of the people are on a holiday, or the business is looking at a low what do you call, a low volume on the database. So database load is very less exactly on Saturday midnight. Again, it depends. It is all client specific. So what we do is we ask client, saying like, which is the day in a week when you have the load on your database as less as possible. So they might say, like, some people, they say like, for us it is on Sunday midnight. Okay, so in that case, what we do is we schedule the L0 on Sunday midnight, and then L1, it is always good to have 1 day gap in L1. See, there is no harm in having L1 every day, but there's no point in having so many backups. Like every day you're taking backups of L1s. Again, it depends on DB size.
Okay.
I guess in the last some session, I gave you a big list how we decide the backup strategy. It depends on the DB size. It depends on the number of archive logs that are generated every minute or every day, number of archive logs that are generated, and then a DB type. What is the type of the database? Like, is it a online transaction processing? Is it a banking? Is it an insurance? Or is it a healthcare? Is it a mission critical database for missiles and satellites? It depends, because when a missile is launched, every second the amount of data that is generated, it's huge. But when it comes to an insurance company, the number of people who will purchase an insurance in a second is very less when compared to missile launch. So what type of databases, we define the database criticality. Now depending on all this, we as a DBA, we can judge, like, okay, I think we can take one L1 on Tuesday, one L1 on Thursday, take one more L1 on Saturday, and then we continue with L0. So this is all your dependent. This is where the DBA expertise come in. So what I personally suggest is, this is what I suggest, what you are seeing on my screen. If I have a client and they say, like, Arun, we want a backup strategy for our 15 terabyte database where it's a banking database, I would 100% can bank on this kind of strategy, because this is like out of experience. So for L0, always ask client which day and which time do you see less load on your database, and that's the exact sweet spot where you put the L0. And L1s, I always recommend to have at least 1 day gap.
Okay. Okay, and it's slightly different from what we do.
That again depends on your client. Maybe your client requirement says like you should take on every day. It happens with me also. Many a times the backup strategy that I propose, it is rejected by the database architect sitting at the client place, because those database architects are working from Oracle 6 or Oracle 7 version, and they still stick to the old strategies. So we can't help those kind of architects. We just have to follow it. So it depends on your client transactions. If I've been given a freehold, then this is what I would implement.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Right.
I have a question, Arun. So
Yes, Francis.
the archive log backups that typically when there's heavy transactions and stuff, they do have archive log backups separately during the day. If it comes to recovery, so for example, in this case, if you have L0 to L1 and you have scheduled archive log backups, maybe twice or something, right? And you get a crash on Wednesday, those archive log backups are ignored, correct? The ones between Sunday and Tuesday, you don't use them for anything because you have an L1 on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's your wish. Like, see, if let's be more smarter. I think this will never happen, but I'm creating a scenario. Okay, so let's take, we have an L0 on Sunday, L1 on Tuesday, L1 on Wednesday, L1 on Thursday, L1 on Friday, L1 on Saturday. Exactly on Saturday, this is where the crash happens. So how many L1s I need to apply? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 L1s, right? And assume, which will never happen, assume that after L0 there are only 2 archive logs that have been generated. Okay, so arc1 plus arc2, and then I can open the DB. Now in this case, it's your choice. Do you want to apply L1 or do you want to apply archive log? So
of course, L1.
yeah, it's your choice whether, if you have an L1, you use L1 just to shorten your time of the recovery, because see, you are applying one L1 when compared to, let's take 5,000 archive logs every day. So over here 5K and 5K, that means 10K archives versus one L1. Which one would you prefer?
Oh, see, what was the point I was trying to make is that, you can use RMAN to do your archive log backups, right? So you're going to do one backup set, so twice a day, right?
Correct.
In between. So that backup set is the one backup set for maybe 5K archive log.
No. Okay, you're getting confused over here. I got your point. I 100% got what you're saying. Okay, I got it. Let me explain you.
Okay.
Okay, guys, what Francis is trying to say is, and this is never happens the way you are, because what you're thinking is exactly same I used to think. So what Francis is saying, on Monday we take arc backup 1, on Tuesday we take arc backup 2, and then we have an L0, this is where crash has happened. So why can't we apply L0 plus this archive backup 1 plus this archive backup 2 and then open the DB? Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is what something new you will understand now. See guys, when I said this thing, RMAN backups, okay, RMAN backups, these are, consider them as zip file. So what is a zip file? It is a compressed file, but when you unzip, what happens? Unzip will recreate those files in the destination. All right, so RMAN archive backup, let's take this Monday backup has 5,000 archive logs backed up in this one compressed RMAN file, and Tuesday archive log backup has 5,000 archive log backups in one compressed file. That means these two files, right? When you try to recover, what RMAN will do is RMAN will put these archive logs back to the disk you are unzipping. All right, it will put it back to the disk. Let's take you backed it up from U0 to slash XYZ. So these all 5,000 plus 5,000 will be put back to the original location, and then from there one by one file will be applied to the database. So you got the point. This backup, the archive log backup, is just zipping and unzipping. There is nothing like RMAN will read from this backup one by one and apply. And
Okay.
that is the reason. This is the reason. After
Okay.
L0, when you recover from L1 backup, the beauty is L1 will directly apply the changes to your database. It will not
Yeah.
unzip anything on your hard disk.
Excellent. Okay, good. That's clear. Thank you.
Right. But great question. I think even I had this kind of doubt when I was learning Oracle way back in 2006. So I
Yeah.
can relate it. That's why when you started saying it, I was able to relate it.
Yeah, I know. Okay, good. Thanks.
Amazing. Yes, Simon, I think this is good time. Let me know what's your doubt. But unfortunately, Simon, we are not able to hear you. Can you check your mic? Sorry, Simon, we are not able to hear you. If you want, you can type your doubt in the chat. We can only
Hello.
barely. Yes, Simon, this is Kenneth.
Yeah. So the L1 and the archives, for the purposes of recovery, they perform the same function, but they are not structurally the same, right?
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you.
Sorry, Simon, we are not able to hear you. So I would suggest you to write your doubt in the chat. All right, guys, and trust me, guys, honestly, it's not something that I'm boosting about the topic. My strength lies in, personally, if I look at database, entire Oracle, my strength lies in backup and recovery. So trust me, these videos, I want you to at least go through 2-3 times, because the concept, if you know the concept, and when you sit in a meeting and when you talk like this, and when you explain things to your clients, it gives you an edge over other DBAs. Knowing the concepts is more important as an Oracle DBA than knowing how to do a task, because any activity you can Google up, you can copy, relate the things and copy paste and get the activity done. But the question is the concept and the impact of that activity. You cannot just implement full backup strategy for any database that comes in your way. All right, so it depends. Knowing the concept is more important for me and for you also as a DBA than becoming master at the activity. Any Oracle DBA interview, whether I'm taking or anyone else, they will hardly ask you the commands. If they are, let's take, if there is an interview where somebody is asking you what is the command to back up the database, what is the command, what is the command, what is the command, that means he is not interested in hiring you. They are simply wasting the time. So if anybody is serious to hire a DBA, they will talk about concepts. They will not talk about the commands, because everybody knows commands. You can see it on Google and get the things done. So for me and for you all, this is important that you understand the concepts. Try to go through at least these videos as many times as possible. Get your concepts right.